Meanwhile, Fortune magazine is revealing its list of the world's top business leaders first, right here on CBS This Morning. The magazine evaluated 10 different metrics, including company financial performance, but it also looked at more personal criteria, such as business influence and leadership style. Number 5 is Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. At 4 is Larry Page, CEO of Alphabet, the umbrella company of Google. Number 3, Ulta Beauty CEO Mary Dillon, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, number 2, and Fortune's Businessperson of 2016.
Drum roll.
Perhaps
Come on, Alan, drum roll.
Perhaps you've heard
Suspense.
of it.
Yeah.
Suspense. Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg. The complete list of 50 leaders is in the December 1st issue of the magazine, and editor-in-chief Alan Murray is here to discuss all with us.
Good to be here.
Alan, good to have you. This niche company led by Mark Zuckerberg.
Little company.
It's got a future.
Yeah. 32 years old, I would point out.
His stay at the top of the list.
That he's 32.
He is.
Okay, yeah.
The company's not.
Yeah.
What got? Look,
sure.
there were a lot of great folks to choose from. Why is Mark Zuckerberg number one?
The first of all, just the incredibly rapid growth. I mean, this is now we still think of it as a little startup. It's a $375 billion company in terms of its
How old
value.
is Facebook now, Alan? How old is
Well, so Facebook is about 11 years.
11 years, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's $22 billion in revenues, and it's the first 1.8 billion people use Facebook. Think of that. I mean, no other product has ever been in the hands of so many people around the world. And it's also an enormous cultural influence. I mean, think about the role Facebook played in this election.
Yeah.
Really the first social media election, the number of people who get their news from Facebook. So
Yet he says he's not a media company. He says he's a tech company. You agree?
He's full of it. I mean, he is a media company. Come on.
Yeah.
More than 60% of Americans get news from Facebook. Many people get most of their news from Facebook. I mean, the degree to which people are tied to their mobile phones these days and get whatever their friends send them to look at is extraordinary.
Only 3 women made it to the top 20. Barbara Rentler, CEO of Ross Retail Stores, Mary Barra, CEO of General Motors, and Mary Dillon, CEO of Ulta Beauty. How noteworthy is that all of these women head up companies that sell tangible products?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Mary Dillon was number 3. Ulta Beauty, I don't spend a lot of time at Ulta Beauty stores, but I was talking to Patrice in the makeup room. She knows it well. Says,
well, that's an endorsement.
She said it's great. It's sort of all in one place. They tend to be in strip malls. They have doubled their revenues and their profits since she took over in 2012. So it's kind of interesting, given the way that tech companies dominate the list, to have this traditional retailer doing as well as it's doing.
It's interestingly, when you look at Satya Nadella, meanwhile, Microsoft CEO, you think Microsoft, you don't necessarily think about turnaround, but he has shot up this list in part for what he's done with the company. Top 5 spot for him now.
He's a really interesting guy and has taken a company that a lot of people had written off for dead or dying and turned it into a powerhouse, both because of what it's doing in the cloud business that's transforming so many other businesses, and because of some of the work they're now doing in artificial intelligence and other areas.
And Tim Cook went from number 4 to 11, and you look at the table, everybody has an iPhone. What's behind the drop?
Well, it looks like, if you look at the stock price, it looks like Apple peaked in the middle of last year, and it's been going downhill since. Now, maybe they can come up with a product that will revive that, but boy, it's hard. They had gotten so big and so successful, and the Apple Watch didn't, I don't see any of you wearing Apple Watches. It didn't quite do what people thought. So,
do you have an Apple Watch?
I don't.
Is it still? Is it just the shadow of Steve Jobs that still looms? Will Tim Cook ever be able to escape it?
Well, maybe, but he's got to come up with his big product, and we're waiting for that one.
So let's talk about the president.
I would have thought he had escaped it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the presidential election, since time is running short. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
You've called this election Brexit squared.
Yeah, and look, I look at this from the standpoint of business. I mean, Donald Trump is an interesting and confusing mix for the people who run big businesses. On the one hand, his attack on regulation is something that they support, But his attack on globalization, which was really the underpinning of the post-World War II economy and economic growth, his attacks on trade, on immigration, is frightening. And I think a lot of business leaders are now saying, well, what is this going to mean for this global model that we've developed?
The market seemed to like it.
Yeah.
The markets were confused, right? They took a nosedive and then recovered.
But then they came back up.
And ended up a little bit. We're just going to have to wait and see. I think Donald Trump has thrown, we were talking about this earlier, he's thrown a lot of ideas out there. Which of those stick and actually become policies?
Next challenge, yeah.
We'll all be watching. Thank you, Alan. Always good to have you here.
Good to be
at
here.
the table. Thank you.